Today we're going to be looking at Manic Panic in the color Cattail. So I'm sure you've noticed that my swatches are labeled by number, but I just want to let you know that that is not synonymous with hair levels. I do different video clips, pictures, and stuff near the end of the video, so the numbers just help us keep track of each swatch. These are human hair swatches, but the only one that is virgin hair is going to be the number 4 black swatch. The rest have been chemically colored or bleached at least some point in their existence. 1 is green. I noticed when swatching this that it had a slightly kind of reddish undertone, so I wanted to see how it would do over a green swatch. 2 is gray. 3 is a natural red. Once again, 4 is black. And then 4 up to 11 is a range that goes to a platinum blonde. And then 12 is kind of like a toned version of number 11. So I will start by taking the dye directly from the container, and I will apply it to the top of each swatch. Some people do like to dilute their dyes, so I will do a diluted version at the bottom of each swatch. Please keep in mind, everyone's hair is different, which means everyone's hair could take color differently, plus different screens and monitors and such can make colors look different as well. So please just use my video as a reference for how this could possibly turn out for you. For the diluted section, we're going to do a 1:4 ratio. So that is going to be 1 part of the dye to 4 parts diluter. If you're confused about what diluter is, the simple answer that I usually like to just give is that it is something that lightens the color of your semi-permanent dye. Each brand usually will sell their own version of a diluter that you can use if that makes you feel more comfortable, but to keep things more fair between my videos, I always just used a plain white conditioner to dilute. So I'd really like these to have a chance to absorb as much color as possible, so I'm gonna let these sit for about 3 hours. I will then rinse them out, and when they're dry, I'll meet you back here and we can do some comparisons. This is a lot less red than I was expecting it to look, but it still holds a lot of warmth. I would say that the most cool toned looking one is the number 1 that was originally green. So the diluted section, I can still see some green peeking through on the bottom, so if you have green hair, I wouldn't dilute the dye as much. But both of what I can see on the bottom and the top, it's a very cool toned kind of brown color. Almost like on the top, it almost looks like a black brown. That could just be my lighting though. Regardless, still very cool toned. And then after that, I actually feel like the number 5 looks the next most cool toned on the top part. That could be the hair underneath. Number 2 is still pretty cool toned as well, like especially when you look at the blonder swatches. Number 2 is definitely much more cool toned. And maybe it's just my eyes, but I do feel like I can see a little bit more warmth in the number 2 than I do the number 5. Funny enough, I don't think the number 3 direct dye is any more warm toned than the blonde swatches, but the bottom half, the diluted section, does look more warm. You don't see as much of those like yellowy tones coming through like you do on the blonde on the natural red, which makes sense because it was a natural red. I see no difference on the number 4 black swatch, And while the number 5 does look more cool toned, it also took the dye the least if we're not considering number 4. So if you have virgin hair and you want to use this, I would definitely do a strand test, because with virgin hair, it can kind of be a toss up with how well it will take color and hold on to color. If your hair is not virgin though, it does seem to be quite pigmented. It's a little bit harder to tell with the diluted sections because, you know, they were on the brown side beforehand, of course. I would say number 6 on the diluted section doesn't look as warm as the rest of these do, so I don't think it took as much dye on the bottom compared to the lighter swatches. But overall, it does seem like it can cover darker blondes or lighter browns as well. But of course, like I always say, do a strand test. So for comparisons, I obviously don't have a lot of browns because not a lot of brands have been doing the brown thing yet. So I figure we would start with Manic Panic. I did notice that with the new line, the Supernatural line from Manic Panic, that all of the dyes minus the black one do lean very warm. It starts with a kind of lighter, almost like natural red, and it goes into like a deeper espresso color, but they all carry a warmth to them. So I haven't done the espresso brown yet, but I have done the color right before this that would lean a little bit lighter, and that is the color Cobra. So let's compare that. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. So obviously the Cobra leans lighter than the Cattail on the direct dye section, but now that I see them next to each other, I can just tell that the undertones are not actually too far off from each other, especially looking at the number 11 swatch. They're quite similar. I probably should have checked before I started filming. I don't remember what I did for the diluted section because it does seem to look a little bit darker on the 9 and the 10, so I'm wondering if I didn't dilute it as much. But I do feel like this also helps to show that it's not quite like as red as the Cobra would be, like a red, a natural red of course, but it still definitely has a ton of warmth. The other comparison I wanted to look at today is Overtone in the color chocolate brown. This is comparable to number 12, number 11, number 10, and number 9. The chocolate brown does have some warmth as well, but the warmth comes from a slightly more yellowy place, which next to the Cattail makes it look a lot less warm. The Overtone also seems to be a little bit darker as well, but I think they're both pretty pigmented if I remember correctly, so it pretty much goes with whatever undertone you're looking for. And hopefully more brands start to create semi-permanent browns, because I would love to see the range of browns that we can get. I almost kind of wonder what these two browns mixed together would look like. Maybe I'll do a video on that. But now I'd like to get into our before and after clips. So those, as well as anything you see after this point in the video, will all be done in natural lighting. I hope my video helped. If you have a request, I do have a link below to a Google form you can fill out. Just remember, I only do brands that do not test on animals. Thank you so much to my patrons, and thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.